Dear students, we are truly delighted to have the valuable presence of our eminent guest for this occasion, Ms. Flavia Agnes, an Indian women's rights lawyer and co-founder MAJLIS Legal and Cultural Resource Center, who has virtually joined us today. Ma'am, I would please like to request you to address the gathering.
Thank you so much for inviting me to this very august gathering. And I feel highly honored that I am part of the same panel as Justice Kurian, Honorable Justice Kurian, because you may not know this, but I'm a great admirer of his. And many of his judgments, in fact, I get very stunned by his knowledge, by the way he writes the judgment, very precise, very much to the point, and very easy to understand. So I really feel highly privileged that Justice, I'll be speaking on the same panel as Justice Kurian, so that I get an opportunity to convey this to him personally. Thank you, sir. And distinguished guest has spoken to you, and particularly the director, the Asian Law College, other faculty members, to give you a lecture to inspire you into the legal profession. And I'm very, very happy to know that my name figures among those whom the students think can be an inspiration. That itself is, I think, a high honor for me, because I don't belong to any formal institutions, not even a law faculty, nothing. I function more as an independent person, working my way through this labyrinth of law and anchoring myself into a domain that is very much needed, that is women's rights. So that is where my expertise lies. I joined the women's movement in 1980. And from 1990, I have consistently worked in this field in all different aspects. All different aspects in the sense of trial court litigation, high court litigation, imparting training for judges, for NGOs, for community people, writing articles, as well as doing public interest litigation, or trying to reform the law concerning women. So when somebody mentioned here that you have a vast field ahead of you when you enter the legal profession, that's really true. Even within the confines of focusing and anchoring myself within women's rights, one can do a lot of different kinds of work and different kinds of activity, which are very much needed in our society. So I just want to start with a small incident here, that when I joined the women's movement in 1980, the important aspect there was rape. We were concerned about a Supreme Court ruling in the rape of a 16-year-old Adivasi girl. Her name was Mathura. She was hailing from a rural district of Maharashtra. She was raped by policemen inside the police station, where she was called for interrogation on a complaint filed by her own brother. She was an orphan. She was illiterate. She was poor. She was tribal. You could imagine that she had every type of vulnerability one can imagine. And the Sessions Court had acquitted the policeman on the issue of consent. Since there were no marks of injury on her body, the court felt that she had not resisted. And since she had not resisted, it was consent. The matter went on in appeal to the Nagpur bench of the High Court, Bombay High Court. And the High Court judge presiding over this case reversed the Sessions Court judgment and stated that a quiet acquiescence is not consent. Consent has to be voluntary. And absence of marks of injury on the body does not constitute consent, and convicted the policeman. The matter went to Supreme Court. Tukaram versus State of Maharashtra, 1978 judgment. Rather unfortunately, Supreme Court reversed the judgment, upheld the Sessions Court judgment, which had held that Mathura is a liar. She had made up this story to appear virtuous before her brother who had filed a complaint, before the madam in whose house she worked. And that was really shocking. But this judgment would have remained there and would not have come into the public domain because there was no television as we have today. Issues concerning law were not major news items in those days, and it would have quietly buried there. But a law professor of the Indian Social Institute came across this, and he was horrified. So 4 law teachers got together and wrote an open letter to the Chief Justice of India. Not only that, that open letter was published in almost all newspapers. And in that letter, it was stated, and one of the leading lights there was Professor Upendra Bakshi, a renowned jurist who we honor and we respect very much even today. He keeps writing on contemporary issues even today. Where is the letter stated that this judgment of the Supreme Court will muffle out the hopes of millions of Mathuras in this country, because a rape within the police station of a 16-year-old girl, if the Supreme Court doesn't believe that girl, then something is drastically wrong with our judges, with our society, with our entire system. So their request that time was this judgment should be reviewed and it cannot be allowed to stay in the statute books in the form that it is. Judges responded saying, we don't make the law. We only interpret the law. We only give the judgment. Which today I know it's not true. Judges make the law all the time, every day, in fact. Not only Supreme Court, even in the trial court, even in the High Court, constantly the lawmaking process goes on. But in those days, we were quite naive, and then we believed the judges, and then the whole struggle started to bring in law reform in concerning rape. So this is the story of 1979, 1980. And with this protest against this judgment, in a way, the women's movement in India started. And March 8th was celebrated as Anti-Rape Law Day. I've been associated with the movement since then. Almost 40 years have gone by. And one has worked on so many different fronts on the issue of violence against women, whether it is domestic violence, whether it is dowry death, whether it is rape law, whether it is sexual harassment or molestation of girls. And yet, after 40 years, when I'm speaking to the students today, I'm still confronted with the same type of violence, or even worse, that it's not a police station, but it is a civil society. The girl is tribal. Mathura was 16, this girl is 19, that's the only difference. Again, she's poor, she's tribal, she lives in a village as an outcast, her entire family as an outcast. She is so brutally raped that the bones in her body were broken. To strangulate her, and in the process, her tongue got cut. One cannot imagine the work that has gone on by bringing in protocols. For instance, protocols to the hospital, to the investigating machinery, what a police should do, what a police should not do, what a doctor should examine, what a doctor should write in the report. All this is very clearly stated. And yet, after 40 years, we have a case where the girl has died. At least Mathura had not died. Here the girl is dead. Her dignity is violated, not just by the rape, but also by the manner in which her body was burnt. Even the dignity awarded to a dead body was denied to her by the state missionary, by the police. And subsequently, there are rumors, there are news items that maybe she was not really raped because no sperm was found in the medical forensic report. We have come a long way. Mathura did not have injuries on her body. Here we have a case of brutal injuries. The examination, her internal examination was conducted. She was raped on 14th of September. The medical investigation happened on the 22nd, which is after 7 days. And everybody knows that if a medical examination is conducted after 72 hours, there will be no evidence of sperm inside her vagina. And yet, somebody, high police officer like a DGP or district magistrate, comes out with statements to the press saying that she was not raped. I have two concerns here. Because after the Nirbhaya case, when in Parliament, our parliamentarians stated the next day that rape is worse than death, many of us came out saying rape is an injury, rape is a violation, but it cannot be worse than death. Because many rape victims have come out, including Mathura, and have lived their lives. But today I'm questioning myself, because here the death has happened, but everybody, the entire society debates whether she was actually raped or not. Maybe she was not raped. Rather than arguing, yes, it was rape, I want to question whether her death, does it become any less significant to the entire society and to the investigating missionary because they could not find evidence of rape? She was violated, she was treated with indignity through the rape, through the investigation, through the medical examination, and through her cremation, the way she was burnt. We cannot even call it a cremation. The way she was burnt to death. So imagine how many newer questions this case brings out, far more than Mathura in 1980. So the question to me personally is, 40 years down the line, in the context of a very vibrant women's movement, which is constantly looking at various laws, constantly looking at whether these laws meet the constitutional standards, whether these laws are followed, whether these laws have any use on the ground level in rural India, with the judges, with the police, with the investigating machinery, with everything. And the answer is no. The answer is no, because whatever law reform happens, it remains at a very high level, does not filter down, does not enter our courts, does not enter our police stations. And they continue having the same old archaic values regarding women in general, regarding rape in particular. The people in the village, upper caste people, want to say that this was honor killing, that her own family must have caused this violence on her. So imagine the deterioration that has gone into the status of a woman, the violence that is perpetuated on the woman. In the today's context, what does it bring out? In the context of today, what it brings out is, despite a very dynamic, vibrant judiciary at the Supreme Court level and also in our high courts, despite a lot of women activists taking on this issue, despite a country generating so many lawyers, in the last 10 years, we said from 16,000, the number today has increased to 80 to 90,000. So many young aspirants want to be lawyers, want to study law, want to, as Justice Kurian said, once you learn the law, you are not a lay person, you are a law person. You live by constitutional values. Your entire framework has to be constitution, never mind which branch of law you practice. Then what has happened? Where have we gone wrong? Why is this attitude towards women not changed at all? Why do we continuously subscribe to the notion that yes, there are laws, but women are misusing the law? Every time I talk to law students, this one question that comes up again and again and again, but ma'am, women are misusing the law. But ma'am, women are misusing the law. But you see the number of women who are killed in their matrimonial home. You see the number, even today. You can say it is dowry, you can say it is suicide, you can say anything at all. But after marriage, a girl is not safe in her husband's home. She's not safe on the streets. She's not safe in a village. She's not safe in her own home. So I wonder where we are going. Where is our law education going? And what kind of values will we take with us as we become lawyers or law persons in our country or wherever we are? So my question to you is not to upset you on this very auspicious day, to say that it's a wonderful world you're entering. We are very happy you're entering this world. It's not a really wonderful world. It's a world full of challenges. You may succeed, you may not succeed. You may make money, you may not make money. You may get a corporate job, or you might be practicing in the Supreme Court with a very lucrative profession. But that will be very few in number. The vast majority of our lawyers are struggling in lower courts, in trial courts, in different sections. And if you go further into rural area, there are no lawyers, there are no NGOs, there is nothing there. And I feel that every lawyer must have a duty to at least do per year 1 or 2 pro bono cases, as it is in many countries. Otherwise, we have a clear segregation. Oh, they are proper lawyers, they do commercial law. And then we have NGO lawyers who do women's issues, human rights issues. So there is a clear kind of a division that is here. And yet, when we talk about rights, when we talk about constitutional values, when we talk about democracy, citizenship, it is this set of lawyers who are in the forefront and who are taking up very challenging issues. And I hope amongst you, at least there will be a few who will take up. If you have invited me today, somewhere I feel you are respecting what I have done in my life. And if you are respecting what I have done, then the only way you can express this gesture of honoring me is to follow the kind of work I do, is to take up issues of human rights, to take up issues which are not glamorous, take up issues that concern the most marginalized, the least important person in our life, because she and he are equal part of our democracy. When their rights are being crushed, we as lawyers have a duty. We have a duty to challenge the laws that come in, the procedure that goes on, the injustice that is being done. And Professor Justice Kurian mentioned that our society is ridden by casteism, communalism, and corruption, and also by gender injustice. Our society is ridden with gender injustice. And more we take a leap forward, I feel somewhere we are again and again getting pushed to the background. And I feel the legal professionals overall have a duty, a special duty here. Whether in a trial court, whether in the corporate world, whether in the Supreme Court, you have a duty to defend the rights of the most marginalized, who are citizens of this nation, who are part of our democracy. And I hope that at least a few of you will emerge as champion of women's rights, champions of human rights. Because if you enter uncharted terrain like I did, somewhere your work will be recognized in the long run. Somewhere you will get honor, somewhere you will get recognition, not because you are seeking it, but it comes to you because of the type of work you have done. So it's a great honor for me to continue this great line of speakers who have spoken before me, and particularly Justice Kurian and the way he has guided you. And I hope my lecture today is also following the same pattern, where you will to guide you to give you a direction to charter this journey that is ahead of you. And I wish each of you the very best of life. Thank you very much.